Everyone, welcome to another great episode of Let's Chat. I am really excited to be here with a huge panel of guests. You might notice that it's a lot more crowded than normal, so I'm glad to have you all here today. Really excited to be representing Fortnite creators and being able to ask the questions that you all have for everyone here today. Before we get started, I do want to go ahead and introduce everyone. So we're going to go ahead and start introductions. We have some amazing people here. We have special guests today from Paramount and Skybound, and I am really excited to go ahead and start those intros and get to know a little bit more about everyone here. Sax, go ahead and kick it off for us.
I'm like the elder statesman in these Let's Chats. So I I look after the like all like UEFN and Discover IP program, um, all like creator relations, like sort of all the things that touch like creators' lives in both the platform we build on, the economy, and like how it shows up in Fortnite. So my job is just to help creators like grow their business, grow their games, and for players to get matched up with the games that they want to play. Andre.
I'm Andre. I lead publishing and our program to bring IP holders into UGC, part of Saxon's ecosystem team. I feel very fortunate having been part of the early days of just the idea of bringing IP holders into UFN and how it could look like. And now we have a program to talk about. And that's me.
Everyone, I'm Carl. I'm Senior Director of Business Development at Skybound. I work with Skybound's amazing IPs, in this instance, The Walking Dead, on bringing it in its different incarnations to different platforms and different games for our games publishing business.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm a business director and creative director here at Paramount. I work on our whole games portfolio. So whenever you see a SpongeBob, a Turtles, an Avatar, a Star Trek, the list goes on and on. All those games that funnels through me and my team. I've been on Fortnite for quite some time. It's been really exciting to bring our outfits from Avatar and Turtles into the universe. And just excited to be here and chat more about our IPs and how we bring them into this world.
Thank you guys so much for the introductions. And I know a lot of you already know who I am. I'm DirectingPete. I am a creator that has been here since the very beginning of the early days of Fortnite Creative. You may know me through certain things like the block. I was the Omega Pyramid on that, and then more recently started my own company, Omega Creations, and really happy to be in this ecosystem and just see it grow and thrive throughout the years. With that being said, I do want to just take it away. We're talking about, as you guessed, the IP Partner Program. Not to be confused with IP in general. If you are interested in learning more about IP, there was a great chat about that. That was the moderation chat that was held a couple chats ago, so make sure to check that out. But today we're going to be focusing on the IP Partner Program. So to kick things off, I am going to start with our first question. And so let's just dive into it. The first question for all of you in the room, what advice would you give to creators who want to build with care and respect for your IP while still making something fresh and original?
We should
And
start with Amanda and Carl.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Great. I'll start. I think make a game that you really want to play. And though there's a lot of advice I could give specific to Turtles, clearly there's Brotherhood, there's the bad guys, there's the swarm enemies like the Mousers, but every game that you make with our IP, we consider a Turtles game. So really, I'd love to see you subvert the expectations. I think Jenks game where you're running a pizza parlor for Shredder and you work as a Foot Clan, like that is probably the most interesting way to take what is pretty core, which is like bad guys versus good guys, and flip it on its head. So almost no rules. I really want to see innovation. I want to see it feel like a Turtles game.
I think similar echo on our end for The Walking Dead. There's a kind of attention to The Walking Dead IP in a little bit of a fear and with the walkers, that you're always running from something, you're always trying to survive, but then you're also always trying to find your next advantage in your circumstances. And we found the islands that find the most success and that we find the most fun playing are ones that play with that tension, or subvert the expectations of that tension. So if you're either up against hordes and trying to survive, or you are in some way interacting with the tools and what makes the IP partner tool set unique, in a way to distinguish yourself from a lot of the other games on the platform.
It's what makes
Awesome.
Plants vs. Zombies so memorable. Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
like subverting expectation, but still understanding sort of like what to expect from a walker. Yeah.
And that's really great to hear as well. I think that leads into another kind of follow-up question. Amanda, you mentioned, kind of there are guidelines, but there are no guidelines. However, this kind of goes into this question, which is, can we use assets that aren't in game already, but still tie into the IP? So, they gave some examples here from this community question of like Herschel's Farm from The Walking Dead, or, you know, the AT-AT and from Star Wars. So those were their examples. So I guess, the question is maybe you haven't created that prefab yet, or you haven't created that weapon or that item that is traditionally in that IP. If somebody were to create that on their own before it was officially released with Epic, what would the stance be from the IP holder on that?
It's so interesting when I say I'm having these conversations every day, both
Yeah.
with Epic and then with my legal team. I think what I don't want to do is block creativity, and I've been having a lot of conversations directly with all the creators about where is the line and what are things that are just really additive and helpful. And so we're in that process of figuring that out. I think characters is really where we're not really comfortable, because there's a reason why we picked the characters we did. We see Fortnite's version of Turtles as its own iteration, so we really want to stay within this new look and feel for Turtles. That being said, it's tricky when you're not able to make really interesting UI elements, or we're limiting graffiti that could be original. So there's all these use cases that we're looking at very carefully right now and trying to figure out where is the best boundary so that we're very clear. I know that people will make a game, publish it, and then be surprised when things are not able to be published. So rest assured, I'm really paying attention to this and trying to come up with the best solution for all the creators.
I think this is an interesting topic, and it's been
Yeah.
interesting to see it evolve since the start of like just thinking through IP and UGC. And I think there's like two pieces here. I think one is just working through brand rules with Amanda, Carl, and other IP holders has been a fun experience to start out with. Like, what does a really restricted environment look like, and then what does an environment look like where there's a full canvas to paint with. And the second thing is like UEFN just gets more and more powerful every day, and you can do more and more with it, and it's really challenged what the brain can look like. But I think I appreciate Amanda's call out on the characters, because I think part of what we built here is IP holders get to pick like where there's potential sensitivities or restrictions on creating assets from scratch or importing assets. So yeah, I think this is a topic that will continue to evolve in the program over time. And Carl, I'd love to hear like
Yeah,
Skybound's thoughts too.
I mean, it's tricky. We're not expecting creators to have, legal degrees in copyright and trademark law.
Right.
So, a lot of this is an ongoing dialogue, and our expectation is for people to reach out if they have questions about things that are towing the line. I think Amanda's flag about specific character likenesses is one particularly kind of dubious area, but on our side, we are always trying to index on flexibility and creativity and allowing players to kind of create the exciting canvas that will be engaging to different players. And ultimately optimizing for like having fun in a space, playing as long as you can, and giving each different experience like the space that needs to be a great game.
That's great. It's really good to hear that there's flexibility there. And, for me, I guess, one of the big things I run into, and it's kind of a follow-up question from the community too, is, I don't know if there's necessarily a place right now anyway where we have a hub to these IP programs or a place where we can go and see or talk or get updated information other than just brand guidelines. I don't know if there's any talk about this or if there's any discussion about having an IP brand hub where it's more than just kind of brand guidelines, but maybe a place where we can have conversations, give feedback, um, kind of have almost a little more contact with Amanda and Carl and so on.
Well, I'll give some starting thoughts here on how I think this is growing. I think this Unreal Fest was awesome in the sense of last Unreal Fest when we had roundtables around the IP, it was just meeting with Epic. But this Unreal Fest, we got to have specific ones with IP holders. So Amanda was there, Carl was there. It was great to have that set up. And I think things like that will increase, like having more prescribed roundtables with IP holders there. And I think what I'm really excited and like giving a shout out a little bit to Amanda on like I think IP holders and all IP holders in our program now are building a community around their IP and engaging directly and having game jams and all these forums. So I think that'll continue to grow. I know we have a Discord too, set up for dedicated IPs. I think that's a good forum. But I think this Unreal Fest was like a bit of a platform for us to continue to broaden the service area of where IP holders can directly engage with creators. Which kind of where we started on the program.
And I know Lego is probably the best example. They're heavily engaged on the Discord. So I'm actively in the process of creating a Paramount channel where I'll be able to engage with everyone. I know a lot of the creators watching here personally and having these events like the party that we had at Unreal Fest where I think I know at least 100 to 200 developers individually. Like people talk to me on the side. We're continuing to come up with more events where we can have this personal relationship. And I think it's important to note that things like games jams, we hear you on not just selecting the same teams. So we're rethinking the way that we select who's invited. So we're just looking for more and more touch points. So things like listening to creators on the Discord will be really, really helpful for me to come up with a plan on how we engage moving forward.
That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think the
I'm
like if I
yeah.
can say like a couple of words about that the goal of the IP program is to facilitate like from Epic's perspective, from Fortnite's perspective, like a connection between the IP holder and creators directly, like wherever possible. I think right now we're heavily involved because the GFS, like the actual like the tool set that we release for creators, like comes out of our teams. I think over time, like our hope is to for us to dial back like how much we do personally and how much can be done externally, like that in theory, Carl and Amanda should be able to make their own GFS, add their own assets to it, so like continually expand it as they would want to. We're not quite at that stage yet, but that's what we're working towards. That this is a chance for every IP holder to build a direct relationship. And Epic's job is to basically set up like that mechanism that there's a one-click agreement. The brain rules are really easy to understand. From a moderation perspective, we take on the responsibility of that. And then the rest is up to the IP holder and creators to sort of expand that relationship. I think that's the healthiest version of the program.
That's great. It's really good to hear that there's some attention. We're going to have more access and just more ways to communicate with IP brands. So I'm really excited to hear that. I'm going to go back to another community question now and spice it up a little bit. Are there any plans to make it possible to use Fortnite character, Lego characters, and Fall Guys in future collaboration characters in the same island?
I'm excited to answer this one.
All right.
Yeah, the so when we started this journey, this movement at the beginning, the idea was that every IP holder would have like a really quarantined space to launch their IP into UFN. I think what's been great since launching Lego, TMNT, and then Skybound is all the IP holders are communicating, working together, and fostering this community together. So there's absolutely going to be a world where we have IP crossovers. What that looks like specifically, we still are figuring out the details. There's both like technical challenges, then also how do we retain this simple one-click agreement with multiple IP holders together. we'll absolutely get to a point where we have IP crossovers, and it's good to say like it's not necessarily Epic driven. Like the IP holders that we have in our program are demanding this and pushing for this. So we definitely want to get there. I don't want to spoil the conversations happening, but like I do want to say I really appreciate how forward thinking our IP holders are on wanting to get to this point.
That's honestly a very exciting answer. And, I can't wait to see how that unravels and where things go. I know I'm excited for it. Let's see here. I want to go ahead and just jump into one question from chat real quick. So, what do you think creators did really well with collabs? What do you feel they did poorly, and things you wish to see in the next collaboration releases?
Amanda, do you want to take some of what delighted you all from what you saw?
Carl, do you want to go first? I have a lot to say about everything. So
Yeah, no, I would say in terms of things that really surprised us and that we found super engaging were again ways in which people subverted our expectations with the IP. I think in terms of the assets that we had from like prefab environment standpoint and from the Walker NPC, there was kind of a mold that we were setting up from a PvE standpoint, and we were blown away by how people incorporated it into so many different genres. I think part of our ambition with having a kind of thin and open set of brand guidelines was to yield this kind of result where people, cast a really, really wide net. So seeing all these different genres, all these different things inspired by the Walking Dead universe, things kind of seeming to come from nowhere in people's imaginations to just like representations of like combat with walkers and walker NPCs and really just the ways in which people spun out very cool gameplay instances way beyond our expectations.
I think I'm going to address the red versus blue elephant in the room, at least for turtles. Obviously, I want creators to be able to make games that are successful, and I think that's the traditional battle royale game that we know a lot of players want to play. But from our perspective, it's we want more ninja style, we want more brand, we want it to feel like a Turtles game. So what I've loved seeing are the games that have really taken Turtles. Like there are games where I play it and I'm like, is this a Turtles console game? Because people are really taking the tools to the furthest level. Like we made a TMNT Dimensions game, which did really well right at launch, but getting to see creators beat that game and make a much more incredible experience has been so exciting. Fode did this game for us at our game jam where they had Krang, a really scary game where they made it in 3 days, and it was incredible to see just how the tools help expedite the whole development process. But I just want to continue to be surprised and delighted and see reflections of what's a true Turtles experience and a true Turtles game. Like it's just really exciting for us to see the next generation of Turtles games coming in this program. So I'd encourage everyone to feel bold. I'm looking for ways to uplift your games. So we have the TMNT Picks program. We're gonna keep having game jams. I'm gonna keep knocking on Epic's door for Epic Picks. Whatever I can do. We have streamers that will play your games. We have our social channels. So we're really doing whatever we can to make sure that your games have visibility and we hear you and we're working hard to meet your goals.
Yeah, a few shout outs for me are this is probably my first answer will be the most boring, but I just like am absolutely love how much the creator community has like just followed the brand rules and supported the authenticity of the brands. Like it hasn't been an issue at all, and it's been awesome just to see how much the community has leaned into brand rules. And obviously, there's a ton of awesome, engaging experiences, but some of the islands we've played, I've really tested the tools. Like for The Walking Dead, played an experience that was an attempt at like a full-blown first-person campaign with a narrative and a story and like a letter that you read from. So it was just like there's so many awesome shots on goal for variety content that I absolutely love to play. So I was super inspired by the courage that creators take to try something new.
That's great.
I also think that like I don't know, we're in the early days of trying to figure out like how to like what to do. So I think it's difficult to be prescriptive. Like I like the answers like from Kyle and Amanda a lot on like that let it evolve. Like said like we would love to see this, but I think it's really important to allow people to make what comes to mind. And over time, I think things that fans of that IP would want to play are gonna win out. Like so that's just the natural tendency. I think it's easy to make sort of a, I don't know, what's popular in the ecosystem plus turtles right now. Like that's sort of the first thought. I think down the line, the things that are going to stand out are um, are unique experiences that fans would want to play that love that IP. It certainly was like the advent for all this was we get to play like at Epic, we get to play with all these like exciting IPs like all the time in Fortnite. And we know how much it means to make something that we feel contribute to that IP. Like every activation of like when Turtles came out, I thought it was an awesome like in Battle Royale. Like it was super fun. If you're a Turtles fan, that's so many little things that are really I don't know that spoke to us. So when we started the program, we said like what is a way that we can get that access to all creators that they can get that same feeling of playing around with their favorite IP. I think that was that was a simple thought in the beginning, but it takes a while to figure out like what the hell do we do? Like what is the story we want to tell in the TMNT universe, and like our players going to respond to that, what have we? So I think for every time we release, like every time we come out with something new, like between Lego Turtles, like Walking Dead, it's been a little different, and we know a little more when we release it. We with the GFS, we kind of set like we help set direction, and like Kyle was saying, PvE on Walking Dead, like that kind of fits within the IP. And when we look at the games that popped afterwards, they're both a reflection of that, but they're also like they strayed really far away from just straight up PvE as style zombie games. Um, but there also there's a lot of new genres there. I think we like we had learned a lot from Turtles, and we learned a lot from Lego on what's the best way we can give enough tools that creators can make something new. So I don't know, we're gonna get better at it for every IP we do, and then that's why we keep evolving them too. Like we've released a bunch of updates to Lego and we'll do that for every IP. Because we try to listen to well, what are ways we can do better at expanding genres? What are ways that like people are struggling to tell stories in these? So lots to do. But like right now, red versus
Yeah.
blue, yes. I think over time, like I don't know, there's a limit to how far that can take people.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. You know, it brings me into another question about you know, with when you're planning to, sorry, I lost my space here. uh, when you're going to release a new property, so transitioning into this a little bit, there's been a little bit of I would say, an issue with we get a new property, that property then has a release date, then we all have to kind of jump in that morning and go right into waiting for moderation to pass. Are there any tools that you see coming into play where maybe 24 to 48 hours before a new IP program launches that we can get into kind of a ready to launch state rather than first through moderation gets first placement?
Yeah. Yes. So when we introduced the publishing hold and the idea of launching tools and having this separate publishing moment, we knew we solved one problem but created another. So there's definitely tooling in mind to smoothen that morning, so it's not just waiting to see who gets to the moderation queue. So yeah, there's definitely more tools coming in. I know like ecosystem wide, like scheduled publishing is something that we're gonna be has gone out that we want to support, but We know we have to solve that problem for like the morning of publishing hold and
Does scheduled publishing not work for GFS?
It does post publishing hold.
Post publishing hold. Okay.
Right.
That's
That's
where
that.
we want to update it and fix this moment in the morning.
Okay. Yeah.
Great. That's really good to hear.
Because I think the whole point of scheduled publishing, like that we just shipped, is like you want to be able to time your release in general. You want to be able to like support it with like the social you need to do or whatever campaign you need to do. So like being able to call your shot on when you press, like when you press it goes live, is super important. So
Right.
and it needs to be the same for when we release a new IP too.
Yeah, it's absolutely a priority for us to address.
Great. That's really good to hear. As creators, we are littered with choice. And what I mean by that is, we have so many great IP brands coming in, and a lot of us as companies have to make decisions on, which IP can we go with just based on the amount of people we have on our teams, the turnaround time, all of that. So that kind of leads into this next question, which really is based around, I'm drawing another blank here, but how do we, I'm completely blanking. I should have written this one down. Uh, Sorry about that. I completely blanked on that one, so we'll get back to it in a minute. So going down here, oh, right, sorry. So with, since we're having trouble making those choices, it really comes down to what can we have that really helps us curate, and this goes to a question that's being asked right now. Have you ever thought of having more curated content? We have picks for each collection, but they've been slow to change, and so few games get featured in a time. So one thing we're noticing is these featured sections in Discovery aren't really getting updated very often. Therefore, it doesn't feel like something I want to necessarily dive into. On top of that, this is a two-pronged question. What's so great about Fortnite Creative is items update on the regular, weapons update on the regular. Do you both see a plan for that, Amanda and Carl, to kind of keep expanding your universes? I know TMNT had a wonderful expansion recently, but is there going to be more of that?
Yeah, I think your point about featuring and everything, we're on it, we're working on it. I would love to hear a cadence that the community thinks is the right cadence. We're looking towards doing this monthly. Frankly, we're all building the plane as we fly it. So there are we're trying to update and think about everything, but hearing what's important is really, really critical for us. And then in terms of live ops, I'm like, Andre, you tell me, I'm down. You want to make more content, I want to make more content. So the short answer from us is there's a huge interest into continuing to support. I think what Sax mentioned earlier with the IP owner having more control will make it way easier, but like this is a new program, so I think as we learn how important that is to creators, things will adapt.
Right.
Yeah, and just to echo what Amanda's saying, on our side, we're so eager to give any kind of platform to different experiences in our IP partner program, right? We're very much trying with our Skybound picks to champion different game modes. We have roguelikes that have recently succeeded. We've had tower defenses that have succeeded, and we really see each of these kind of standing in their own lanes as activating kind of different members of this same community. In terms of new content, we've had conversations with you folks, and it seems like creators have a ton of great ideas, especially coming out of Unreal Fest, for things we want to implement going forward from a content standpoint. But I think the thing at the top of the mountain is maintaining that bar of quality. We wouldn't want to introduce anything else that doesn't stand up to the rest of the assets that have come through.
Yeah, the idea to continue to update an IP after launch is like something we always want to do. I think like recently with Lego, with the brick editor going out as an example, over 18 months post launch was a huge update. I think we always want to work with Amanda, Carl, and like just to get all the feedback from creators, but to make sure the updates make sense around the moment. Like the TMT update made sense because of new cosmetics being introduced into VR. Same thing with The Walking Dead, like what we have planned to update, like making material moments that we can celebrate with creators is definitely what we're after post launch. And we don't want to just have a great launch. We want these IPs to sustain and continue to grow over time.
That's great to hear, especially, rethinking the Pix area and keeping that more up to date, I think will drive a lot of traffic to properties. So that's really good to hear from a creator perspective. So this one's kind of a, could you clarify the rules? This may be targeted a little bit more towards Epic, which is, what are the rules with converting your map from a Fortnite map to an IP map, and then back to a Fortnite map, or allowing a map to jump from IP to IP to gain access to exclusive weapons and items?
There you go. First on this one. So the system to migrate a Fortnite island into an IP themed island was something we first launched with The Walking Dead in a very limited time, for just a couple weeks before publishing hold. I consider that system in a very much like a 0.1 stage that will keep evolving for every launch. And the idea right now is to hold it to during the publishing hold. And creators have the opportunity to migrate over and then migrate back. But as of today, to not like have switching back and forth basically constantly post publishing hold. It's not where we want the feature to be. Like we want definitely a more open ecosystem, even a world where we're not template based and like things are more on an asset level. But right now, that's the way the system works is it's offered during publishing hold. It can be migrated once into an IP themed experience and then can be migrated back once post publishing hold. We're going to be launching this with Squid Game here shortly as well, offering that same service. And it'll be very similar to The Walking Dead with a couple more tweaks to the duration. The second part of the question was, could you jump from IP to IP? And we're only offering this migration path during the publishing hold right now. Again, it's not where we want the system to be. Like we definitely want the program and ecosystem to be a place where a creator can jump between IPs, can have crossovers, but for the near term, it's what the system has today. And again, we have a bigger vision to have just a much more open, more fluid system to jump between IPs and within IPs.
I think I don't know, we're striking a balance, right? Like a balance between like seeking an audience and making something for that IP. Like we don't want the IP program to be this attention in that area. So I'm gonna move my map between whatever IP has the most attention right now. On the flip side, we want people to have, like every creator to have the opportunity to adapt their map to that IP because we think that's really powerful. It is what players would ask for, right? So we're trying to find like a balance where we don't encourage just like hunting eyeballs, but where you can still like make something for the IP no matter how established you are. So I think like Andre is saying, like every part of the program, we're taking our best shot and go, well, it didn't work. So let's try something different. I think if you're gonna find anything from the team, it's I don't think there's much we're not willing to reconsider. You kind of have to when you're inventing things. Like you can't be too stuck in your ways. And we have awesome partners. Like I think like Amanda and Carl, like they're great examples to bring on here. But like generally, like we have a pretty big listening network of are things working or not working between our creative relations and sort of the listening programs we have on the creator side and on the IP side. Like it's nobody's shy about what we need to change. So and we try to do our best to just with every iteration we get a little better.
It's really good to hear. I'm really happy to hear some clarification on that. This one is a little bit directed towards Amanda, but it's a community question from chat. So with Paramount having such a massive library of shows and movies, will you be bringing more Paramount characters and assets into the Fortnite ecosystem? I know this is one I also was really interested to know.
Well, we know that Avatar is coming.
Yes,
So that is I mean,
I'm excited.
only so many IPs that could be launched per year. I think that's a roadmap question for Andre and Sachs. But I think Avatar is a great opportunity to bring in all new types of gameplay. We will be having more than just what you saw in Battle Royale. So we're in the very early stages. So love to hear everyone's feedback. Would love to hear what IP you wanna see, because then I could pitch it to Epic. But we are really excited about everything that we're working on, and we're incredibly passionate. And as you see things that go in Battle Royale and really resonate, I think we're always open to seeing what the future is. So, and then also for SpongeBob, for example, there's things outside of the IP partner program where we are bringing our IP, and that's a little bit of a testing ground to see, does this resonate with the players? Does this resonate with the community? Are creators asking me for it? Are they asking Andre for it? So it's all on the table, essentially.
I think it's a really good point what you're saying, Amanda, that you've experimented with SpongeBob on Bikini Bottom. I
We had
forget what it's called.
Bikini Bottom Prop Hunt was
Yeah, Prop Hunt.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
we
yeah,
took a bunch of shots.
yeah. But I
But
think it's
Bikini
awesome.
Bottom
Like
Prop
you
Hunt
have.
was the
Yeah.
one that really landed.
From a creative perspective, you don't have to sit and wait for us to do the quote unquote official and scale version of the program. I think there's lots of ways to test the water and just do direct collaborations. And it helps us also to see like what resonates and doesn't. Like I think personally, like I think SpongeBob like would do incredibly well
Yeah.
in the IP program. I think like in Fortnite in general, like things that have nostalgia but still an edge, like just does really, really well. And I think personally, like SpongeBob deserves a lot more games than what has happened so far. So like I think it's I don't know. There's lots of options to sort of like poke to see like what works and doesn't work. And but there's only so many we can do right now. The way we're structured in launching IP. I think we launched Lego. A year later, we announced TMNT. And then a year later, we announced three ones. And in between, we did Walking Dead. So from a momentum perspective, Andrew will tell me that they're working much faster now. But it feels like we should move even faster. So I
Yeah.
got I think our hypothesis of how to structure the program, and we're really happy with that. Like and we want to keep going in that direction. It was the find legitimate ways that creators can work with IP without like taking up too much bandwidth, like to get started,
Mm.
and solve on the moderation side that you're not competing against a whole bunch of things that doesn't go through the official channels. Like allow people to contribute to the lore of an IP that they always loved was how we started this whole thing. So we really like it. Like if we could, we would scale the infinite. But I think the next couple of years it'll be largely like a little bit faster, like we're going right now. So, but it's nice because we get to like observe what happens with every launch. We get to like sort of recalibrate what we do with every launch. So it's all like we're about to launch Squid Games like tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
tomorrow morning.
tools.
Yeah. Exciting times. The and with that, like again, whole new set of decisions. So I think it's super fun. What I really like is that we go back to the IP. Like it's not like it's a one and done. Like you're saying with Lego, we did a huge release, like with the Brick Editor, and same thing with TMNT.
Mhm.
That our job is not really done. We haven't quite figured out like how much is good enough, you know. So
That's great. And I have a follow-up question to this question from chat. So it kind of is a follow-up with the expansion of IPs under the same umbrella. Uh, be added to the Paramount tool set, or will it be divided like TMNT and Avatar: The Last Airbender? It would be cool to be under one. I think what I'm getting from that is like,
Like we do a lot of Nickelodeon mashups, and I think that's something definitely worth exploring as we have more Nickelodeon IP brought in. I don't really know about a Paramount broad uh
hmm,
I think it really depends on which IP, because Nickelodeon, we have a ton of crossovers. We have many, many games that are out in the market, and a lot of nostalgic games from like the early 2000s that I know probably the creator community has played and loves. So for just Turtles and Avatar, I think that's a little too small for us to really think about that. Maybe there's a world where it's possible, but those are just two very distinct worlds, and I want the lore of Avatar to be given its fair shot. So it's an open question, and I think as the partnership expands and when we see what the next 3, 5 years looks like, it is certainly something that we can explore.
Awesome. I want to take a moment to just dive back into the IP itself, The Walking Dead and TMNT, for instance, and ask um, what's the most exciting? Oh, sorry. Can you share how your creative team approaches translating a universe like The Walking Dead, TMNT, or Avatar? What are the key ingredients? So, this question is really kind of based on where, how do you make these decisions to bring certain elements in? What makes the first cut? How do you make meaningful updates, etc.?
Amanda and Carl, I can start just kind of like how our discussions start, and I would love for you both to kind of speak specific to your IP, for sure. I think a lot of it, so we have a bit of a pre-production process that an IP is coming to Fortnite in a UGC context. And we tend to draw out some design principles of what we want to go after from a genre and a gameplay perspective, that starts a discussion. And we have some design team members that pair with Carl and Amanda and Lego and other design team members to figure out what to go from there. But the idea is to like really start from like game archetypes, genres, like what are we after from a gameplay perspective. And then the second part is like what's happening within the IP. There's new media coming out, there's new cosmetics coming out that we want to make sure to include. That tends to be a big part of the discussion. But I feel like very fortunate, like, both Carl and Amanda and Lego have awesome creative folks that we interface with that bring a lot of great ideas on how their IP can come to Fortnite. So yeah, Carl and Amanda, please definitely chime in.
I think on the Walking Dead front, we are, I mean, we have an embarrassment of, I feel like, ideas that we want to populate into Fortnite based on the tools. And a tricky thing is being a mature brand. A lot of Skybound's IPs like Invincible and Stillwater are gory and feature, violence in a theme that is not explicitly a perfect fit for a T game. And so there are ways in which
Ooh, sounds like we may have lost Carl for a moment here.
oh no.
Yeah,
Oh no, there you are.
yeah,
There you are.
yeah,
All right, we got you.
Yeah, where did I sputter out?
You froze at an awesome frame.
Sweet.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. No, just to jump in, I guess. We're trying to make an IP that has some more adult-facing issues in a T game. Trying to find ways in which we can incorporate that gameplay in settings that are good for everybody. So, I mean, a lot of our ideas are iterating on that point of like, what is cool and exciting and thrilling about walkers and about the kind of threat and chase of PvP or PvPvE, and how we can like build more on the tool set of the kind of danger inspired by the walker.
Yeah, from our side, we're very lucky. Everyone on my team has been working on, like, I've been working on Turtles for 8 years. Most of my team has been here longer than 8 years. So between me and the producer on the project, I think she's been at Paramount for 10 years. We've worked on almost every single Turtles game that existed during our tenure. So we're game designers. We are making decisions that are based on what games you're actually able to make with these tools. So the combination of us knowing what the DNA is of a Turtles game, you need to have the Foot Clan, you need to have Shredder, you need to be able to be in the city, be in the sewers, be in all these different locations. And we really looked through our whole library of both TV content, comics, everything to pull together something that would be really surprising for the super fans, such as we have the Rabbit Hutch, could not have been a deeper cut. We also were lucky that our partners at Epic and at Kit Bash, who made the visuals, they were also TMNT super fans. So we had a lot of fun making decisions that were like, this is for the broad community, this is for the niche community, so that people could create all of these types of games. But really, we wanted to just make tools that it was like a love letter to the turtles while also being something that each choice served a game design purpose.
Yeah, having the two, like with Paramount, like shipping TMNT Dimensions and then Courtyard King with Skybound, like we also tend to build what we call an exemplar experience alongside, and that like really focuses the tools that we make too, because we're using them as we build them within an experience that we're working on together. I think that also brings a lot of focus to the tools as well. And yes, lots of super fans. It's like, twist your arm. You get to like go design tools for TMNT and The Walking Dead and Lego. Like we got lots of super fans for these like flagship incredible IPs.
Yeah, it's exciting to see them just being created in general, and then just seeing the expansion of these worlds over time. I'm really excited to see where the walkers go down the road as well, and how that evolves. Um, so just another question here. As a creator, it's really good to get a heads up when things are launching. With The Walking Dead, it was kind of a surprise. And then, with others, we've kind of been given a heads up. Is there a kind of a more updated strategy that you're based on everything you've learned? Going forward, are we expected to maybe get some more surprises that just kind of launch, or do you see this more planned out approach, kind of the future for IP brand collaboration?
Like in general, the plan out approach is what we want to do. And it was the Unreal Fest in Seattle. We heard loud and clear in the roundtables, the push from creators that like they have to schedule capacity to make islands, and like a shock of a tools drop, like it just created FOMO more than anything else. And I think there were 10 roundtables. I think I heard that constantly throughout it. And that led us to doing the publishing hold. And I think we helped there, but that's why at this last Unreal Fest, we announced in the keynote what is coming for IPs in the future, and where we have like concrete dates, we'll share. But the idea is to forecast as much as possible. Like we want to answer that creator ask of like being able to schedule out capacity, know when things are coming. I don't think we like really fine tuned what like we'd love to communicate even more. Like once we know what tools are coming, so like we can jump off some creative thoughts. But 100% the intent is to forecast as much as possible, and if we can, no surprises or not.
That's really good to know. Yeah, I mean, once again, as creators, it's so great and pivotal when we're choosing these brands to kind of jump in and know what's happening or what's going on, or get as much notice as possible so we can clear our schedules for those things. Will we ever be exposed to a Trello-like system like you do now for Fortnite Creative, possibly for brands, where we do get a heads up of things that might be coming down the road, and not necessarily shocked? I think for players, it's one thing where the surprise and delight is a really great factor. But as creators running a company, the surprise and delight factor is not as exciting, because then it's this game of, oh, that's great that this launched today, but holy cow, I need to drop everything now and focus on integrating this new update where I've maybe only gotten 24 hours with the release notes to do so. Is there any plans to kind of give us a little more of a lead out as creators planning tons of map updates or new maps and needing that time accordingly to kind of to schedule properly?
I don't know if we'll get to a point where we have like a Trello roadmap for the next 12 months to say like these are the dates IPs are launching. As it, like, truth be told, is like our schedule can be fluid because we really want to nail that creative vision with the IP holder. And oftentimes, like, we're picking dates late in the process because, all right, we get to a point where we feel comfortable with the creative vision and we feel comfortable that we've hit the right base of tools for creators. Um, so I think we'll always forecast out, like, here's the IPs that are coming. I don't know if we'll get to exact like dates, 6 to 12 months out. I do think the IP holder updates, so like, updates are upcoming for The Walking Dead, for Lego, etc. Like, I could see us evolving how those are communicated, and especially through our awesome partners on like some of the updates planned. Because a lot of those are driven by creator feedback, what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think our goal is like give warning before we release the tools. Release the tools with a publishing hold and get out. While they're in development, we there's no reason why we can't be open about what we're developing, like what devices and assets we're working on, sort of broadly at least. So you can get like you can focus on gameplay ideas. Like I think we're looking for ideas in through development that we can essentially release like the tools that are going to mean the most for the games that people imagine they would want to make, right? Like as for everyone we make like a mixture between some sort of capability from a character or weapon perspective, some sort of device, some sort of asset library, and but we can only do so much, right? So I think the more we can figure out a cadence where we can get feedback, the like the better the GFS that comes out is going to be.
Great. That's really good to hear,
Yeah, like when
especially.
nobody like the surprising. Yes, like we're trying to figure out like how to walk the line in between like from a player perspective, it really matters that when we say Walking Dead is coming, that people are excited, they tune in and they play the games. So we need to sort of get everybody into a single moment from a creative perspective. You want time to plan. And it turns out it's not that
Absolutely.
easy
Yeah.
to satisfy both. So
Right. Right. Well, it's really good to at least hear kind of the process and the challenges that you face with kind of hearing what we face as creators as well. I think a big opportunity here, though, as we mentioned kind of earlier in the chat, is really kind of keeping active the pick section of
yeah.
those discovery rows. I think that it would definitely make creators feel more obligated to want to push harder on those maps, which kind of leads into another question here that was asked by the community just now, which is, do Epic and IP holders want creators to lean more towards story-based games, fast-paced action, or a mixture of both?
I don't think we have an opinion about that.
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
love to
Um,
see what a story-based game looks like. We've seen a few, but it's so tough because I also want everyone to be as successful as possible.
Right.
So it's you take a risk and then I hope it pays off. We're trying our best to bring like support the teams that are taking these risks, whether it's getting like Cypher PK to play the game on his stream or making a trailer and posting it on Turtle's channels. It's just like it's we're all learning how to market these games and how to support. But to your point, TMNT picks hugely important. We do have a TMNT picks program. We have the builder program. So we are incentivizing taking these risks. So it's really at the discretion of the creator. Like I want you to make a game that you want to make. So don't just make a game because you think it's going to appease Paramount or do whatever we're saying on this stream. Your team should be passionate about it, and that should really be driving a lot of the decisions, in my opinion.
I think that's an absolutely great call out. Even as someone who views these streams, sometimes you watch them and you go, oh, okay, that's the message they're giving us. So I want to run with that thing. But, your message here is like, no, take the risks. There's not one particular thing we're looking for. We're just looking for something creative, and something new that's going to attract an audience. Something fun, right? At the end of the day, just create something that our players enjoy, while respecting IP and all of that. Uh, this has been a lovely chat, and I do have one question before we wrap it all up, which is for Carl and Amanda, if you're able to, and Andre can stop you, if you're able to, is there anything that you're able to kind of let us know that might be coming up that we're not aware of yet? Anything that you kind of dream of getting to with your IP brand, with The Walking Dead or TMNT, or something that's right around the corner that maybe we can talk about? I have to try.
Andre,
Yeah.
Well, I could say stuff about Avatar and my ambitions for Avatar because that doesn't exist yet, and we're making these decisions. So, does that work, Andre? Because I'm not.
Yeah, for
I'm,
sure. Do it, Amanda. Do it. Like,
everything I'm
yeah.
about to
Yes.
say,
Do it.
everything I'm about to say does not mean it will happen. It means that I'm asking Andre for it, and this is the forum for it.
And it's
So,
his fault. Yeah.
what I would
I
love
didn't
to
know. I didn't
see.
know I was attending a scoping meeting.
Yeah, this is actually an official business request. What I'd love to see for Avatar is, knowing UEFN, like this is also a new product that I'm new-ish compared to just like Unreal. I don't know what's possible. So everything I say, it could not be possible. And there are people probably at Epic watching right now, and they're like, Amanda,
Everything is possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything is possible. So I really want to see environmental effects for bending. I think what's amazing about bending, and for those of you who are watching that aren't familiar with Avatar, you're able to control all these elements with water, air, earth, and fire. And part of it is combat focused, part of it is puzzles, but a lot of it involves you interacting with the environment around you. So that is huge. I Pets are hugely important to and just creatures and animals, and we have these mashed up animals. Appa, who's a flying air bison, how can we incorporate those in meaningful ways? I think looking at some of the pet sims that are on the platform, those are great examples of a genre that might not uh, be prevalent in something like turtles, but can really be prevalent for Avatar. And then like, can you use these as traversal opportunities? Can you use Appa to fly around? So those would be my biggest asks, and also not just the bending that was released in Battle Royale, like really going in deep, having the opportunity to have skill trees, use the different type of bending. There's lightning bending, there's metal bending. Like how deep can we go to make this feel like a truly like an Avatar experience that will make creators and players want to engage with these games. So
I think I'd love for Carl to have a forum too, and just for everyone watching, like this is a good example of interactions we have where like IP holders have such a grand vision, and like we're partners
Yeah.
to bring it to life. So it's I'm glad the career
I thought you
community
were going to say, and
is
we bring it
witnessing
down
it.
to earth.
Yeah.
Like
No. Like we want to make it. We want to make it all happen. Like we all
No,
live
it
in a
makes me
better.
think, Amanda, like when you say this, like I am, we did a go no go for general physics, like if like what release it's gonna go out in, like for physics playground and simulation in general, and it's awesome, like it's looking really good. And what you're saying in Avatar is just a really nice combination. So I think sometimes like we try like when like it's important to hear like what you imagine because sometimes it just happens to like fit like some of the things that we've been working on for a long time. We've been working for physics over a year now on allowing like broad simulation in UEFN. So when that goes out, like environmental manipulations are totally possible. So yeah, that we should do that, Andre. So
sick. Yeah, my
Carl,
turn.
would you like to
Yeah,
add to
here's
the scope pool?
Santa. This is what I'd like for Christmas. I think on the Walking Dead front, we at Unreal Fest had a ton of amazing feedback from creators, and we're still gathering a lot of that. And I think a lot of it feeds directly into applications of the brand and exciting ways to think about player as Walker and Walker NPC interactions, right? So we first big idea that a lot of creators are coming back with that we're excited to integrate is a big core component of The Walking Dead is if you die in The Walking Dead, you come back as a walker, and finding ways to iterate on that gameplay where knowing we're in all these amazing PvE settings or PvPvE settings, if you're out first, how can you spawn back in as a walker and have kind of a lurchy walk cycle? Or even more so, like if you are a walker, what happens to your skin? Do you have a walkerized version of your specific character cosmetic? We also heard a ton of feedback about looking for more ways to engage with the weapons specific to TWD. And I think 2 layers of that we're excited about. One is, the simple surface. Can we figure out more exciting weapons unique to the Walking Dead universe that we can bring in? And number 2, how can those weapons be applied to walkers, right? Can we work through the next step of a kind of dismemberment system that we've been talking about, where if you shoot the different limbs off of walkers, how it changes their walk cycles, how the NPC and hordes kind of change if you're able to shoot the legs off of them. Then modifying the walker NPC. Can we have walkers who move at different speeds? Can we have crawlers? Can we have some that are limping, some that are moving much more quickly, to kind of add a little bit more spice to the enemy variation? So we've found that players are really, really excited by the core loops that the tech has given, and just more ways to introduce variety and spice there to add different kind of gameplay modes.
I am so happy I asked that question. I'm not sure if Andre's happy that I asked that question, but I am really appreciative that you all were able to jump in and kind of give us at least your thoughts on where these IPs can go. Once again, they did mention these are just thoughts, everyone. So, the goal is to dream big, and hopefully we get there, and being able to share that insight with us is invaluable. So thank you so much. I just wanted to thank all of you for being here today and giving the community a chance to talk with you. This is so big to all of us, and I really hope Sax this continues, because it's been phenomenal, and I look forward to watching each and every one of them. I want to just give a special shout out to Amanda and Carl for being our special guests today. Thank you so much for providing that extra explanation for the IP programs, and I really appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you so much, and until next time, take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.